Hello? Is this thing on? I'm seeking to reach my rich sis today.
Make those moves. I'm feeling it, no stopping it. I can't lose. When I'm dealing it, I'm dropping it. I'm the realest, no doubt in it. I'm about the biz, count on it.
Left-handed though, because you're a rich bitch. Yeah. Oh, you're right-handed.
That's cute.
Favorite mug.
Oh, these are good manifestations. Is this how you maintain your positive mindset? Is through different affirmations on your adornment of your mugs.
Kind of.
That's good. Welcome to Sister Copper. We're one of the Copper Alchemy's many holistic wellness features and conversations on the Copper Alchemy. Today, I'm here with my good sis, Dr. Darla Bishop.
Good to be here.
And first-time author.
That's right. Well, I wrote a dissertation, but that's different.
That counts, though.
Yeah.
That does count, though. So sis been researching and writing and serving on boards and serving in organizations and financial planning for a family and managing the finances there and then building a business.
Oh, and I have a full-time job and a part-time job.
If this was the face of doing too much. So tell me about your book.
So How to Afford Everything is a culmination of something I've been thinking about for 10 years. When I went to the University of Michigan, actually not even as a student, but as a high school student through a program through DAPSET. You're from Detroit, you know DAPSET.
My grandma taught with DAPSET.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So did Mary Pryor. She went to DAPSET too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I went to U of M's campus for a month when I was the summer after sophomore year of high school.
That's dope.
And I remember that was a time that was tumultuous in my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
We were living with her sister, who, while as loving as she could be, was not fully prepared to take on 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
Her child was already grown and she was an investor. And all of the things that came along with that, and being a smart kid and not knowing if I'd actually be able to go to college.
Yeah.
Because I was smart enough to like, you want to pay for that in your mama's bill.
Yeah.
And so we had a cousin who was like, oh, I have my kids in DAPSET. I'll pick Darla up. We'll take her to the Saturday things. And then I applied for the summer thing and got to spend a whole month at college as a high school sophomore.
We love those programs.
The thing about it was one of the people in the program got special permission to drive his range because his parents had paid for a special lacrosse game.
Yep.
And he could not miss any of the sessions because of the expense they had paid for the special lacrosse camp.
Yep.
So they called whoever they needed to call to give him special permission for a parking permit and to leave campus in his Range Rover.
Wow.
3 times a week to go to lacrosse camp in between nap sessions with
wow.
little poor kids like me. And I remember just like being like, okay, now that's real money.
Yep.
And we don't have any. So I mean, I don't need to get there. But maybe there's somewhere in the middle. So
right.
that like planted a seed, like, okay, maybe if I come to school here, I can learn something from these folks.
Yep.
And so when I got into Michigan and I didn't know how I was going to pay for it, and I remember it was the day before you had to send in the letter that said, I'm coming to Michigan.
Yeah.
And I remember my aunt being like, have faith, it'll be fine. Send the letter, don't wait. You have I had a waiver because you had to pay a small fee to say, yep, I'm coming.
Yep.
But I had a waiver for that.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to send it in. That day, I got this little tiny letter from the Gates Millennium Scholarship Program. But at that time,
that's big energy.
You're not that much younger than me, but this was still when you got the big envelope if you got into college. And if you were waitlisted or denied, you got the small envelope.
Yep.
So when I got this letter from Gates Millennium Scholars, and it was small, I was like, this was my chance. This was how I was going to go.
Yeah.
This is how I was going to get out the hood. And not so much that I was trying to get out the hood. I was just trying to get out the hood.
Yeah. Right.
Like, if I don't go away to college, like, yes, I can go to Wayne State.
Yeah.
But if I don't go away. So when I got that little letter, I was like, man, I didn't get it. It's okay. My auntie told me to have faith. I'm still going to send the letter in. And then I finally opened it because I waited until she got home or something. Because I just knew it was denial because it was that tiny letter. And like the first one was like, congratulations, you've been. I was like, like, awesome. And like, forgive me. But I was like, man, I've never heard that to
I have that shared sentiment to this day of remembering not wanting to come back home. It was like and this is a different conversation for a different time, but like urban PTSD is actually real. And then also, if you see no models for success in your neighborhood, specifically how you're defining success, there's no reflection of like, how can I navigate these two? They don't seem like aligned realities,
like they
right?
don't match.
They
right?
don't coexist. Yeah.
And so it's like, well, that means I need to get out of this space and be in a space that will recognize me and reward me for the things that I have, right? And like, and it wasn't about Detroit. Detroit is a beautiful city. There's so many things that happen that are wonderful there. But because of all the mess that the adults around me were dealing with, and then therefore I had to deal with, I was like, well, maybe if I just leave, I can have a completely different life.
Talk about disassociation and how we learn that in our childhood.
How we learned it in our childhood as a coping mechanism. Super useful, right? And then,
it saved me.
Right? And even in money, you know, like, so the book is about money. So even in money, one of the things that when I'm coaching someone that I often have to work through them with is like, we're not going to judge you. You are not here to judge you. Because I promise you, those behaviors, those patterns, those habits you have probably saved you at some point. It's just that today they no longer serve you, so we got to let them go. We can thank them for what they pulled you through, but you have a completely different context. You have a completely different situation now. So you have holding on to those behaviors that saved you before is actually doing more harm than anything else. So we're going to thank them for how they served you in the past, but we got to let them go. You got to do some different shit. Can I cuss? I can cuss. Right?
Yes, that's on brand for me.
Okay.
Is it on brand for you?
So we got to do some different shit when it comes to your money. And again, this isn't about being like, well, you're made bad this way. No, because I'm sure most people do the best that they can. And most of the people I know do even better than the best they can somehow. They do magic with what they have. And so it's about figuring out what are the things that you're doing with your money, with your thoughts, with your habits, with your behaviors, with the people around you, with your time, because most of us have to trade our time and our talents for money, to make sure that it is in line with what we want today. And then when that today changes and next week is something else, okay, guess what? You can reinvent yourself as many times as you want. Maybe you remember I was Latina in college for a little while.
Same. I was on a Latino culture show.
Right. I just didn't correct people. They were like, oh, you speak Spanish? You got a team?
I did in high school, actually. I'm from Southwest.
You're from Southwest.
So I was like, they didn't know because you're mixed. You didn't know what you were. I feel you. The one thing that I love that you're talking about is how do you change habits, behaviors, mindsets, to fit your current reality, right? And also the reality that you want to exist within, right? But it seems like there might be some trauma bonds or things that hold us back. So what are some of those habits that you're noticing with folks that you're talking about? Or even things that you share in your book?
I'll talk about myself even. I still check my bank account way too much for somebody who hasn't. Like the number of times that I sign into Chase app.
Because you're scared you might overdraw?
I'm scared I might overdraft.
Like, that's mine. I'm like,
did that charge come through yet?
Yeah.
When is my bill due again? Like the bill due date has ever changed in the 15 years I've had that credit card. Right? Like it's irrational, but it's one of those things that like there's also a security a little bit and like looking like, oh, that's right, I have it. Like relax, but I still gonna check one more time.
Yeah. Make sure it's not disappearing. Make sure that it's always there. I think that's mine is like, I think because I've been terminated in my professional acumen, I cannot do one thing anymore. Now I have a trauma response of like, I need to make sure my money is coming from multiple streams because I cannot put all my eggs in one basket. And I think I have a fear of like job loss or like opportunity ceasing to exist or things not coming in. And as a business owner, seasons change. So like I make a lot of money in hospitality in the summer because people are coming to Detroit for festivals, all these things. In the winter, it's hard, right? So what are you doing? You got to think about how you're marketing. If you're not putting energy behind marketing, I'm not getting the same revenue streams, right? And so I think that fear often keeps me overbooked because I'm like working on a whole bunch of things all the time. And also afraid to like lose something else instead of reinventing myself. So I appreciated that. But my question for you then is, what as you notice some of those behaviors, are you checking your account or me being afraid to like lose one revenue stream because it changes or things like that? What are some of the things that you do to manage that, to like get through that?
One of the best ways to change the way you think is to change the way you talk. Right? Like there's this India Ari song that says, you know, be careful what you say because you are the one who first hears your ears who first hear what comes out of your mouth.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, I can use that to my advantage. So even if my brain isn't on board, I can talk, and then those messages will go right into my ears, and then my brain will start to believe that it's Dr. Actually. My mama bought me this.
Yes.
She bought me a set of 4. She wanted to make sure I had one everywhere I needed to have it.
Okay, Mom, as she should, and as you should, because it's not enough doctors that look like us.
And
assert that and affirm that.
Like I remember in college, you know, I had to be mindful how I talked about things to my peers because I'd be like, why aren't you coming out? I was in a sorority. There were parties, there were social events, and they're like, oh, you got to work with shout today. I'm like, that's right. I got to work because I'd much rather be tired than broke. Because for me, that was important. I knew that in order to leave college with something, that I was paying bills in Detroit from college. Right? Like I had accumulated a little bit of that, not a lot from school, but just like helping the family.
Yeah.
So I wanted to leave college taking care of that little bit of debt that I had acquired.
Yeah.
And I wanted to remember when I got into Michigan and I got a scholarship, I was like, I'm never coming back to Detroit.
Right.
I wanted to, if I got a job in wherever in the world, because studying abroad taught me you can pay your bills from anywhere with the internet connection. So I don't have to even be in the US.
Yes.
My Spanish is good. And so I wanted to be able to pack up and leave. That's what I wanted to do, and I knew that took money.
Yes.
And so I was on a mission to leave college with a certain amount of money in my bank account. Because if I was going to have to buy a U-Haul or get a car or have a first and last rent in an apartment in an expensive city, I was not going to let money be the thing that kept me from the opportunity I was really excited. Because growing up, money was the thing that kept me from stuff.
Yeah.
But I really think the whole reason my mom even was in prison is because we didn't have the means for a good lawyer. That had she had a better lawyer, if we lived in a different neighborhood, if we had a different social setting, so many of the things that I went through growing up would have never happened in the first place or would have been way easier to solve. And it wasn't that the women, because it was mostly women around me, were irresponsible with their money. These women did magic with what they had.
Right.
Stole from Peter to pay Paul, cut in Joe, and then still somehow had enough to feed the neighbor. And so it wasn't that they weren't doing the right things; they just didn't have enough. And I was like, I know how to solve this. I'm smart. I'm going to read a bunch of books because the thing about being in college with other people who have means, just like I didn't exactly know why I was poor, they didn't know why they were. So in trying to talk with my roommate, like, so what do your parents do? She's like, I don't really know. My dad's a manager or something. My mom works here or something.
Yeah.
You know, because she was 17, 18-year-old, just like, yeah, she's not checking for them. So I remember trying to engage in these conversations to try to learn, to try to figure out, so why is it that I can see the difference in relationship with money you have? Just in how you spend your time, how you spend the money you do have, how you talk to your parents. Yeah. Like, and me trying to pull it from them, they didn't have it to give it to me. So I was like, it's okay. Reading Rainbow told me, look in a book. So I started reading financial literacy books. And over the last 15 years of reading books, one of the things that I feel like was missing, and that's why I was like, I'm going to write the book to see if I can fill that gap, is there's, of the 110 or so books that I've read, there are like 7.5 that do a good job of telling people where to start and where to go next. Like, people need a decision tree. Because if you are the trailblazer, if you're the first to do it, then you don't have enough examples. You might have examples of what not to do, but that's not enough. Right. You need to be able to weigh the pros and cons of this versus that. Right. And so I wanted to put into the book a framework for which people can use to say, okay, I'm managing a lot of stuff. You know, I'm hitting 40 soon. I have an aging parent. I have young children. My husband just got his student loans forgiven because of his military service, but I still got a tiny bit left from graduate school. We have some property. My husband doesn't know what he's going to do after his military career, so we don't know what that might mean for us financially if he decides to go to school, if he decides to work a different easy job that's relaxing and lets him just be. Maybe he's going to be the favorite soccer coach. We don't know any of that, right? So I'm managing all of these different things And so when it gets tight and I need to prioritize, I don't always know what should come first, second, third. And I was like, and I've been doing this for 15, 20 years. I've been actively managing my money for 20 years. And so what about the people who are just starting? They need a map. They need a way to be able to be like, okay, I'm considering this. Here are the questions I should ask. If I'm considering this. Here are the questions I can ask so I can feel good about the decision. Because also one of the trauma responses that we have, if we've made it out, is not overthinking.
The questioning, the doubting. It's the same, but that's why affirmations, as you spoke on, like, are so important. You have to train yourself to like challenge and combat those second guess and be intentional and logical and make sure you're making good decisions. But doubting yourself because you've never seen it been done,
that's right,
that limits yourself automatically. I think that's, as you think about your future, I'm very excited to learn the decision tree and the prioritization matrix because sis likes to spend money sometimes before sis has her money, and those are things that we're still learning. But in relationship with others, how you like manage things in your marriage, were there differences in terms of like what he expected from being, what he wanted from his life, what you wanted, and like how you manage money? Has anything happened there?
So, you've met me. I'm a fairly direct communicator. And so I remember when we got serious, and by serious, like, went from like, let's hang out to like, so just so you know.
I felt like y'all were serious the whole time. That's been your husband since you was like 19.
Yeah, but like, we had to get there.
Yeah.
And like, it took a little something because he was like, well, I'm in college. I don't really want a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'm like, I respect that. And I said, I just want to make something clear. I'm very busy. I've got 2 jobs. I'm the president of the President's Health Association.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to pledge this semester. I might have an opportunity to like be a research assistant with one of my professors, and that'll be good for me to go to grad school.
Yep.
And so I'm busy. And so let me tell you that once I fill out my implanter, you remember the implanter? Once I fill out my implanter,
I do.
If you're not in it, you may not have my time. You might not. I might make time. I'm not going to go out of my way to make time for you. Because in order for me to do all these things and keep a GPA and graduate, because remember, I'm also here to graduate. Yeah, I'm having all this fun, but I'm also here to graduate.
Yep.
Like, if you call me and texting was just starting at that point, like, if you call or text, I may or may not be available. So if you want me to make your a priority, you have to be my boyfriend. And if you don't want to be my boyfriend, if you're not the boyfriend type, cool. I just don't want you to be surprised after September 3rd when school starts and you call me, you can't find me.
Because I'm busy. And you're not a priority.
And he was like, well, I don't do ultimatums. I'm like, no. This isn't an ultimatum. I didn't say you had to be my boyfriend. I just said, I like you. You like me. If you want to spend some time together, in order for you to be on the list of things I do that week, pun intended, like, you need to be my boyfriend. We're not going to do this, like, let's hang out stuff. Like, it's just not going to work for me. And I was like, well, I'll think about it. And so then he was like, okay, fine, but you have your whole life plan. You can't plan our relationship. We have to be in a relationship one day at a time. I was like, I agreed, but I already had our plan. My life plan, it's fine. I was like,
seems like your plan came to fruition anyway.
Actually, no. What's so funny is he really did break me from a lot of the trauma response of planning A, B, C, D. Like, always needing to know where I'm going to jump to. He actually broke a lot of that because he built so much trust in, like, that it was going to be okay because he was relaxed about it. And him being relaxed about it, everything still happened the way it needed to be. So I was like, oh, well, maybe I can be a little more relaxed. Not all the way.
No.
But I can relax some. Maybe I won't plan the next decade of our lives, but like, I want to take a trip in 3 months. Is that okay?
Yeah. We're planning some things, okay?
Yeah. And so when it came to money, I did, like, also, again, I'm a clear communicator. I was like, hey, just so you know, I think you probably figured out I have like a bunch of jobs. It's because I'm on a mission money-wise. Like, I need this amount of money every week to be able to pay my little credit card bill, to be able to save the amount of money to get me towards what I want to have when I graduate. Because I don't know where life is going to take me after here. I might want to go to grad school not in Michigan. So I need to have some money to make that move because nobody can. The people in my family love me and they say really nice things to me and they believe in me. They ain't got shit. They ain't got shit to give me. And so
not too safe for grad school and undergrad.
And not for the grad school, because remember, I had a scholarship. So the scholarship was going to cover the tuition.
Yeah.
But the scholarship wouldn't cover a move. The scholarship wouldn't cover first month rent.
Right.
Like, and when you don't have nobody to call,
yep,
you build it.
Yep. You've been building it.
And so I told him, I was like, so I work.
Yep.
And so if we want to have time together, we have to be intentional about it. He was like, okay, well, we should have a date, whatever. And so like we were like college junior, having breakfast dates on Wednesdays. That was our day that we had a breakfast date, because he was also very active. He was in a fraternity. Mm-hmm. He had a job and a half. He was like doing lessons on different instruments for his major because he was a music student. Mm-hmm. And so he was also very busy. And so it was like, okay, well, if we're in a relationship, we should like actually be in a relationship, not just at 2 in the morning. Yeah. And so like we'd like have our dates on Wednesday morning for breakfast in the dorm, and we switch sometimes at West Quad and sometimes at South Quad. But that gave us an amazing framework for like how we talked through stuff, because we knew we always had our weekly Wednesday night. Yep.
Yep. We have naked Sundays to prioritize sex, and we also have Wednesdays. But Wednesdays is dinner, you know, like if nothing happens. But like when you're busy, you carry that into your relationships.
That's right.
And so like you got to schedule that life stuff.
That's right. You have to schedule it to also let the people who you are in relationship know that they are a priority, and this is how you can show them.
Yeah.
Right.
The fact that you were able to articulate the way you wanted to be prioritized early on in your life, like you are a direct communicator, shows a lot of emotional maturity and development early on, because I could not clearly communicate my boundaries for a long time around any of my needs. I still am learning to this day to communicate and address my needs directly because of some trauma things that I navigate. So when you come to like talking through your needs or even your financial needs, what would be like the big three things that you need met around you financially? Like if anybody should take 3 big things, what would be their financial health metrics?
Well, first, you got to know your own shit. Because one of the things that when I meet with people, and first of all, if they even got in touch with me, they're either so fed up or like something happened that like pushed them to say like, I need somebody to get this with.
Yeah.
Right. So like something happened. So maybe they're not in crisis, but something has pushed them over something. Mm-hmm. And like the thing that what it comes down to is I'm like, look, I'm not putting you on some 90-10 budget, 50-30-20. It's not about that. What we're first going to do, I actually don't want you to change anything unless you have some emergency we need to address. Yeah. And we're going to bust down these bank statements, these credit card statements. I want you to do all your normal stuff for 30 days because I need to see how you actually treat your money. Tell me how you think you treat it. And then,
like a toy.
Then we're going to actually show. Because people are like, well, I don't spend that much eating out. Or, I don't spend that much on this. But, like, it turns out actually, like, you went shopping 3 times. And again, this isn't about judgment, but, like, it seems like shopping is important to you. Mm-hmm. So that means we got to put it in your budget. Or you have a child, and whenever your child asks for something because of however you grew up and what kind of parent you want to be, you say yes to them. Yeah. And I love that for you.
Self-awareness. And like being honest about what's happening financially for you.
Not what you want it to look like, not what you think it looks like, not what you should. Stop shitting on yourself. Like what are you actually doing with your money?
Stop shitting on yourself. Oh my gosh. Okay. Those are like the kneecaps and elbows to sentences. Wow.
It's like, please stop shitting on yourself. Like let's just know what it is, because when we know what it is, we can deal with it.
Yep.
And then let's talk about what money is actually coming in. Because sometimes it might just really be true. You ain't got enough money. So the second thing is you got to take responsibility for fixing it.
Yep.
So if you ain't got enough money, so I don't like reducing expenses. Hey, one of my favorite pastimes in life is to throw money at problems. In fact, I remember being in college being like, one of my favorite things I want to be able to say is, what will it cost us to solve this? And for me to not even blink when it's a problem. Because I feel like we had so many problems growing up that like it would have only took $20 to solve, but we didn't even have the $20.
Yeah.
Right? And so I want to be able to like throw $20 at it.
Right. Loki, that's so real.
Right? Like it doesn't even take all that much money to solve the problems that I have. I mean, I have big problems, thank God and the universe and everybody else you need to thank.
Yeah.
Like, so it don't even take that much to solve problems.
Right.
But I just want to actually have the $20.
Right.
And so, like, I hate reducing expenses. Like, we don't do that. So I just increase my income. But that can take steps, right? It's not always instant. Now, luckily, in today's culture with technology, you can pretty easily pick up extra money from like a DoorDash, a Shipt, a shopping, stuff like that, where it's the gig economy. If you just need a quick cash infusion, or you can go back to broke college days, you can donate plasma if you are in good enough health to do so.
Yep.
Right? So, like, if you need quick cash infusions, just like to get you through something or to take something off or resolve something,
yep.
You can do that. But you might also need to look at the mid and long term, like, the career I'm in doesn't make enough money for me, and it won't change over the next 2 years. So what can I do in the next 2 years to solve that? Do I need to go get a certificate? Because, Black women love getting degrees, and degrees isn't always the answer, because degrees is expensive. Degrees are expensive.
I feel like you speak it right to me.
I want to go to law school. But
I know. Well, Wayne State is free if you're a Detroit Public School educated student.
Okay, we'll talk about that in the next episode. Because I actually have a workshop, like, how to know if going to or back to school is the right thing and things you need to consider. So we can talk about that. But, like,
that's the only place I would want to go.
Because it's free.
I only want to do cannabis law because that's what I do, compliance, and then help write curriculum later on. That's all.
Okay. All right.
There's a plan with it. But I get it. It's expensive.
It's expensive, right? And so, like, maybe a certificate, maybe it's a training program.
Yeah.
Maybe it's you just do some.
Maybe you're monetizing a product on Amazon.
Right, right. Like, and so, but those things take some time to build up. So you have to have like a plan for the interim.
Yep.
As you make your way toward the bigger, longer money.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Because like if you have a gap, you got to figure out how to close the gap.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, this was way easier before I had children. And so if you already have children or people that you're responsible for, it does take a little bit more, because now you also got to balance whatever this revenue generating thing is. It's the child care expense, the time away, and what that means. And so, like, I don't want to make it seem like I'm neglecting or ignoring that. Like, it does take more if you already have children.
Yep.
So, like, legit, like, if you don't have children yet, like, go grind. Because then when you're my age, you can have help every kids are protected with gymnastics.
Speak that. From gymnastics, though. That feels like such a...
Yeah, they have gymnastics on Tuesdays.
It's a 180. It's a 180. Cheers to raising your kids in gymnastics being
and look,
impacted.
We're drinking tea from Socialite. Shout out to Selena Parker.
Yes, another Wolverine in the house.
Yes. This is the Feel So Right blend. It's an anti-anxiety blend. Actually, with the people who pre-ordered the book, I had Selena make up some special packets because I know
love that.
The anxiety that when you really start to look at your shit, it brings up. Yeah. Especially if you know it's not right. There's a lot of feelings. There's ego. There's pride. There's shame. That gets all tied in that, and that can be cloudy. And so I was like, Selena, could you make me some special gifts? Because maybe when they get to chapter 2 and I'm actually making them do the workbook about their budget and writing down every cent they owe somebody. And I even have a line that, yes, the $30 you borrowed from your cousin 3 years ago. I want you to write it down. Because I want you to pay your cousin back.
Pay it back.
Pay your cousin back. Pay your cousin back. But, like, maybe if they drink some anti-anxiety tea, because I'm not 420 friendly. My husband's in the military, so we can't do that. Yeah. But we can drink herbal tea.
It's all the same herbs, plant medicine.
Right.
Plant medicine.
So maybe for the people who are especially anxious or nervous about it, this will help take the edge off so they can do the first step. Because once they do the first step, the other stuff follows.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I feel like you're singing my heart song, because you know my journey. I've been a serial entrepreneur. I have started multiple business streams, and I have big aspirations. My goal is real estate, specifically an apartment complex would be like, that's a multifunctional use space that's also with mixed income housing, and I'm not there yet. And those are the things, and it is a financial like barrier and revenue stream issue, right? Like the cash flow is not there to sustain. What happens if I buy a building that needs development, and what happens when so these are all of the things. And I look at, I'm like, but we brought in this much last year. Like, why am I still not there yet? And it's spending. I spend money, like I throw money at every problem. Oh, I can't make it to your birthday party, I'm gonna send you a lot of money. You know, like it's like a lot of spending. And so I appreciate you being real about like this is a real human experience and things that something navigates, and we need to like normalize these feelings, the anxiety that comes over that. Let go of the shame, because if you know you don't need to stop shooting yourself. That's what
Stop
you said.
shooting yourself.
Stop shooting yourself. And so I'm excited for the book. I'm excited to fill out my worksheets. And my kind of conclusion question is, where can folks find you? Should they want to talk more? It seems like you're offering services. You're going to be coaching?
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so
coaching.
tell me about this service.
So I am only working with 2 clients right now because I have to get the book out.
Yep.
And there's lots of things, that come with releasing a book and marketing it and making sure that the people who need to know about it know about it.
Right.
And so I'm only working with 2 clients, and these are my longest standing clients. Millionaire Mike and my other client. And so, but I am available, and I will be more available after February, March, once I'm feeling really good about where the book is and that people know where it is and where to find it. The easiest way to find me is at darlabishop.com. That's my website, and then you can find me on all the socials at my_finances. Now, I do play with this here. It sounds like finances, but I spell it with the SIS.
Yeah, no, because you sis. You're the big sis gonna help you with your finances. And I am very proud of you. I'm excited to see you launch. And I'm excited to get my shit in order, because that's what literally is on our vision board for like 2024 is getting our money right so that we can like do the things we've been aspiring to do.